So I tell you, I fell in love with history very early, from my young childhood, maybe from the age of 11 or 12.
Yes, yes. That's what our viewers are interested in. When and how did your interest in science in general start? And specifically, now we're talking about history.
Well, just like I mentioned, I was very young when I fell in love with history, and it's a very interesting story. I went to school in a small village in Austria because, as I mentioned, I'm originally from Austria. And it's interesting that I traveled through the forest to get to class. Suddenly, a hunter came along and shot right next to me, thinking I was a deer or something. He immediately started apologizing and told me that I had to be careful not to repeat this, that is, to learn from my mistakes, specifically history. The fascinating thing is that I thought about it all day, and then, when I got home, I took an old history textbook and started studying. I was delighted by the story about the First World War. The book said, the conflict between the two largest powers of the Entente and the Central Powers in Europe grew every day. The small country at the time, the Kingdom of Serbia, was in very, very bad relations with the then Austro-Hungarian Empire, which could hardly wait to conquer Serbia. But since the whole world would not condemn it as an aggressor, it had to have a good excuse for an attack. You see, at that time, the members of the Entente were mutual allies and included Russia, the United Kingdom, France, and then, in 1914, Russia only joined. The Central Powers included 3 states, which were Germany, Italy, and, the most important for us at the moment, Austria-Hungary. The Kingdom of Serbia was a historical ally of the Austrian Empire, which later became Austria-Hungary. However, as the change of rulers within the Kingdom of Serbia occurred, the relationship between the 2 states deteriorated greatly. Therefore, since 1909, Austria-Hungary had been planning an attack on the Kingdom of Serbia in order to finally become the dominant power on the Balkan Peninsula after 5 to 6 centuries. There were no excuses, and the hatred grew, especially after 1908, when Austria-Hungary occupied Bosnia, which at that time had a majority Serbian population. Serbia was very angry with Austria-Hungary for such a move, so the tension grew on that side as well. All this came to a final stage when the Austro-Hungarian Crown Prince, Franz Ferdinand, and his wife Sofia held a parade in Bosnia in Sarajevo on Vidovdan on June 28, 1914. The Serbs considered this a provocation from the Crown Prince, since they consider Vidovdan to be a very important historical holiday, and the parade was held where the majority Serbian population was under foreign territory. That is why the Serbian organization Young Bosnia was created in Bosnia, which aimed to unite all Serbs in the occupied Turkish and Austro-Hungarian territories. 19-year-old member of Young Bosnia, Gavrilo Princip, pulled out a gun during a parade and shot Franz Ferdinand and his wife. Austria-Hungary finally used this as an opportunity to condemn Serbia for this act, so it was sent an ultimatum of 10 points that they had to accept. Serbia accepted everything except point number 6, which required that the Austrian army could move freely throughout the Kingdom of Serbia in order to investigate whether Serbia had really participated in the assassination. In order not to jeopardize its independence, Serbia rejected this point, and Austria-Hungary responded with war on July 28, 1914. Soon, Russia, France, and the United Kingdom declared war on Austria-Hungary. Germany declared war on Russia. Britain and France declared war on Germany. Italy declared war on France. And so, in just a few days, the entire continent found itself in a major conflict. After reading that, I was in a wow, incredible state. That's when I realized that science was my calling. This conflict unlocked my further interest in books, which then grew into interests in further sciences like biology, geography, etc.
Impressive. So that's how you really started to get interested in science. And you, dear viewers, do you have an interesting story about how you came up with the idea to do what you do now? Feel free to share it with us. And if you want more guests on Factograph, be sure to like and share our video.